Hey guys, Museman here, back with another Identity 5 video, and this video is going to be my Lakeside spawn point guide, so let's take a look. Alright guys, so now we're going to be taking a look at the 7 spawn points on Lakeside. So you can see the first spawn here is at shore. Actually, I should define my areas again. So this is shore, right here. There's a few pallets there. Overall, generally speaking, not a super great kiting area, because after you use up all those pallets, there's nowhere for you to really go, although it's decent for kiting hunters like Geisha and other hunters that are relatively weak to tight kiting. Next we have big boat. If you're a hunter, you want to stay away from that area if at all possible. I mean, of course, if it's the last cipher, you might justify going up there, but anytime in this game when there's like a dual level type of thing, that tends to heavily favor survivors. So this right here, this is Big Rock, and this is Big Boat gate right there. I mean, decent kiting area, but not fantastic. This area here, I'll just be referring to this as small boat. This area is middle. Let's see, we've got shack right there, and then we've got shack gate over there. All right, so now for spawn group 1, what you're going to want to do is hunter spawn shore. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your way over to shack. This survivor is likely either going to go to that cipher that's right next to him or go to whatever spawn is closest to shack, so just be prepared for that. If that's not the survivor you want, then unfortunately that leaves you with chasing 2 survivors in small boat. Small boat is usually about a 45 to 50 second kite if you do everything right. Just because there's those pallets that those god pallets that are basically for you're forced to eat, and you've got that sort of dual-ish level type thing that forces you to go around, but yeah, that's about the best you can do. I guess going for these 2 survivors would be your next options, but I think that pretty much, oh yeah, you're going to want to stay away from that survivor. That survivor is undoubtedly going to go for big boat. If big boat cipher doesn't spawn, then I guess you might go for like the side there, but generally speaking, you're just going to want to stay away from this area. So now let's take a look at spawn group 2. Spawn group 2 is probably my favorite spawn in Lakeside, especially as a Bloody Queen or a Wu Chang. So what I do, especially if I'm a Bloody Queen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and either mirror straight to this cipher or mirror to the shore cipher, using some of those broken mirror spawns. I can actually leave a link to that video where I go through all the broken mirror spawns. I'll leave that in the description below, but you can use some of those mirrors to really get a good jump scare and a guaranteed first hit. If you're playing Bloody Queen, if you're playing Wu Chang, you can either go there, or sometimes I like to look over the edge just because it's easier to aim, and I'll go for this middle cipher right here if that spawns. If that doesn't, then obviously stick with one of these 2. But yeah, so if this survivor ends up not being the one that you end up wanting, just go ahead and transition your way to middle. And unfortunately, that might eventually lead to you being forced to chase a survivor in small boat, but that's, I guess, kind of a risk you're going to have to take. All right, so now we can go ahead and move to spawn group 3. We can see that's spawning outside a big boat. And what I recommend doing in this area is you can, obviously you're not going to want to go for the survivor that spawns on big boat. You can go straight to shore over here. The problem with this spawn is everything's so far away, it can give survivors a chance to transition if you're not playing a hunter that can sort of cut a lot of distance fast. But you can justify going for that survivor there, although if that survivor is not the one you want, obviously big boat's a no-no zone and everybody else is on small boat, the opposite corner of the map. So what I would personally recommend in this area is going after these 2 survivors in small boat, which will be undoubtedly decoding a cipher in that area. And if you end up missing, or if one of them's not the one you're looking for, there's another survivor in the area that you just have to look for there. So now we can move on to spawn group 4. Spawn group 4 is small boat spawn. I would say this is about a neutral-ish type of spawn, not particularly favoring one group or the other. Obviously, big boats no-no. This survivor, if they choose to transition the middle, that can be decent. If they transition here, that could be great. But if they start going to big boat, then you can be kind of up a creek there. So what I would recommend is start making your way through small boat, sort of to this like back shack area. So you'll have that survivor in cornfield, and you'll have, oh yeah, there's a cornfield there. I forgot to mention that before, but yeah. So that survivor that spawns cornfield or spawns on the back of small boat, they spawn relatively close together. And this area right here, generally speaking, doesn't have a ton of room for kiting, so that would be the ideal area to chase for spawn group 4. So now we're going to move on to, I would say probably my, oh wait, I was thinking the wrong spawn. Spawn group 5 is spawn group in middle. So obviously that survivor's a no-no. This survivor has easy access to big boat, so I don't recommend going after him. And you can look and see where this survivor is at. That's a decent survivor to go after. And you can also go for the one in small boat would probably be your second best option. So if you cut over to this area, this survivor is not who you're looking for, I would probably recommend going to small boat, since this survivor right here is just going to be able to transition to big boat. And now we're going to move on to spawn group 6. You spawn cornfield there. And oh yeah, this is one of my favorite spawns. I would say probably my third favorite spawn in the game. So what I can do with spawn group 6 is I always go around to this area. This survivor will almost always run straight to that cipher, so that allows you to get a quick, easy attack on that survivor, especially if you're a bloody queen, because there's nothing the survivor can do. It's a really open area, which means that you'll have plenty of room to adjust your mirror how you need, and there's not a whole lot that survivor can do in that area. So this has to be the survivor you look for first. If that's not a survivor, like say that's the merc, obviously you don't want that area. This one, generally speaking, you don't want to go there. So I would recommend, I guess, cutting over to the other side of the map to this survivor who's ideally decoding that cipher there. If that cipher doesn't spawn, there's a chance that they either went to small boat or to the corner of big boat if that spawns. But yeah, that's pretty much spawn group 6. And now we're going to move on to my second favorite spawn group, which is spawn group 7. Spawn group 7 is actually really great because these two survivors spawn so close to each other. If one of them's not who you want, then you can easily go to the other one. These two survivors kind of spawn in crummy kiting areas. Nobody spawns big boat, so everybody is still kind of up for grabs there. But what I do with small boat is I cut straight through, and there's usually a survivor that cuts through either to middle or to big rock right here. And ideally, if they're not hiding, if one's not who you want, you can just chase the other. And I mean, unfortunately, that leaves you likely on the other side of the map from the other two survivors, but if need be, you can easily down them really fast depending on your hunter in those two areas there, as those are not fantastic kiting areas. But yeah, that's all 7 spawn groups. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. I'll be taking questions or comments in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. See ya!